Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today I'm joined by an absolute legend, Queen of the Jungle, presenter, Samaritans ambassador. Again, I'm going to say it again, absolute legend, Scarlett Moffatt. Welcome to the Waffle Shop.
Wow, thanks, Taylor. Thank you.
This is a little bit of a pinch me moment. This is great.
I need you to just walk around with me, just walk around the streets hyping me up. Being like, yes, Queen of the Jungle.
So do you know who you're talking to? This is the Queen of the Jungle. Thank you.
I think I am royal. No, I'm not. I actually, when that first happened, when I got crowned Queen of the Jungle, I remember actually saying to my mum and dad, can I put this on my CV?
That would have been straight on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's at the top line.
I haven't mentioned this for the past 5 minutes, but I'm Queen of the Jungle.
Yeah. Just dropping that in there.
Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to be sat here and having obviously a waffle with you, and for such a great cause as well, which obviously we'll get into obviously in a little bit. But I start each show with it's called the Weekly Waffle. So it's a chance for me to get something off my chest, purely for selfish reasons and stuff that's been winding me up. So
let it all out, Taylor. Let it all out.
That's what we're here talking. It gets things off the chest, all aspects. A huge advocate for that. But the thing that has been winding me up this week, and I'm saying this because I've had a bad experience. I was supposed to be starting this week in New York City. I didn't. I ended up doing the most depressed, probably weekly shop you could ever imagine. But I have a problem with jobs worths. And don't get me wrong, like, I know everyone, if there's a job worth doing, you do it properly. I get that. But there's no need for like the sass and like the aggression. Like that little man at that airport who was like, sir, you are not getting on that flight. He didn't have to attack me in a way that he did.
No, it didn't.
No. The tears were literally filling up my mask. I had snot bubbles all in there. It was horrendous.
I think what happens is it's normally when people get given a high vis. I find this when people get given a high vis jacket, it just goes to their head. They start thinking they can make laws for this country, that that they're the boss, that you're the sorry people. That's what it feels like.
That's how I felt. I'm glad you agree with that, because I was a little bit concerned about raising that, because I didn't want to take digs at people, but it upset me.
Oh, I'm giving you a virtual hug.
Thank you. Little elbow.
Yeah, little elbow.
Oh no, we're allowed to hug now.
Yeah, we're allowed to hug now. We're allowed to hug. Mine's sort of similar actually. So, right, I love all of the delivery drivers that come to this house. Right, I'm on first name terms with all of them, and I've told them before, if it looks like I'm like filming something, or like I've got these headphones on, just put it in the shed. Just put whatever it is in the shed.
Just give you the thumbs up.
Every time they'll look through the window and I'm like, I'm just busy. And they'll go, no problem. Ding dong, ring the doorbell. I'm like, no, I'm just doing something live. Right, I'm on Lorraine. I'm on Lorraine on ITV. Can you just every time? And like, so again, they mean well, but yeah, I feel like we've had this and they're like, no problem, but then still ring the bell. Then my dog goes crazy, and yeah, that's my mind.
There's just no need for it. There's no need for it. I mean, appreciate them. They're doing an incredible job, but
really appreciate them.
Yeah,
just not when I'm doing live stuff.
Not when I'm under rain. I'm in a place.
I've got headphones on.
Well, do you know what? That I feel better already. Do you feel better?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like a weight's being lifted off my shoulders.
There we go. That's what we're here for. That's what this is all about. So I want to launch straight into this because, I mean, I've been watching bits and bobs recently. Obviously, you're an ambassador for the incredible Samaritans, and I'm aware that they've helped you in the past, they've helped me in the past, and the work they do is phenomenal. I want to kind of go back to that, if that's okay. Obviously, if you feel comfortable and you want to share it, like, what have they done for you? And obviously, where was your head at when you needed to contact them?
Uh, I honestly don't know where I would be if it wasn't for Samaritans. And that sounds
Wow.
really dramatic, but I actually don't, because at the time when I called them, which was about 4.5 years ago, I just felt like I wanted to disappear for a while.
Yeah.
Not forever, but just for a while, because I just didn't know how to handle things. I came out of the jungle. I got offered all these amazing jobs like NTA, Saturday Night Takeaway, and I should have been floating on a cloud. And
Yeah.
part of my brain was, and then part of my brain didn't quite know how to handle all the negatives that came with them positives. So, when I went in the jungle, I can't remember how many followers I had on Instagram, but it definitely wasn't as many as I came out with.
Yeah.
And with that came loads of trolling. All of a sudden, the press, everything that I'd done seemed to be a story. Lots of made up stories, which was really upsetting, because I used to get myself frustrated thinking, well, how can people just print stuff when it
Yeah.
isn't real? And now that I look back, I can sort of laugh at this story, but at the time I remember feeling, I think it was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I think
Yeah.
lots of things had been bubbling up, and there was a huge story where it was saying rhinoplasty surgeons had said I'd gone too far with my surgery on my nose, and I've never actually had surgery on my nose. And you know what, if I had, that it would be
That's your
my choice. It was
choice.
my
Yeah.
body. But
Yeah.
I hadn't. And I remember posting loads of pictures of me as a kid to say, like, look, this is just my nose. And, people were commenting on my picture saying, you look like Michael Jackson. You shouldn't be on the TV. You hurt my eyes. Getting death threats and things. And I remember feeling so embarrassed that I remember going to the corner shop. And I was living down London by myself at the time. And every front page of a magazine was about my not
Your
no
imaginary
surgery
note.
that I
Yeah.
hadn't had, but was really going deep, like saying that I looked horrific and that I've ruined myself and I was a bad role model. And I just remember running home and just getting into bed and not really getting out for a full week. I remember I had some work to do, and I'd get to the front door and I'd reach for the door handle, and like it would be as if my whole body just went into
Yeah.
shut down, and I couldn't even turn the handle. And I remember one night spending about 6 hours Googling, trying to find a surgeon that would make my nose bigger. I remember thinking, I need to make my nose look like,
That's
and
not
I
on.
actually always loved my nose. My nose was the one thing, like that I actually like, because my dad would always say, oh, you've got a Disney princess nose. And that was the one thing that whenever I looked in the
Yeah.
mirror, I actually liked. And then I felt like that had been taken away from me. And, with the pressures of telly, and I think just every woman and man, actually, just anybody at the minute, was struggling with the weight. And I
Yeah.
was yo-yoing, and I just really didn't like the person that I seen. And I remember my mum and dad calling and calling and me saying, oh, I can't answer the phone right now. I'm really busy with work. And I wasn't, I was just in bed. And I remember just thinking, I just don't want to leave the house. Like I just want to disappear. I just don't want anyone to talk about
Yeah.
me anymore or have an opinion. And so I dialed the number for Samaritans. I mean, it must have been 20 times. And I'd press call and then I'd hang up and I'd be like, oh, because I remember seeing a little ad on Instagram of them. And then I thought, just do it. And I remember when I called and I heard this little voice of hope, and I give a fake name, and I still laugh about this now. It's a bit of a character building joke in my family now, because I get called Charlotte Muffin. I
Is that the name
panicked.
you used?
Yeah, I just panicked and I was like, oh, it's Charlotte Muffin. Basically my name, but with a couple of missing letters. And I spoke to the woman, and I remember just this feeling of not being judged and being able to just rant. And the thing is, like, a lot of people always say, well, why didn't you speak to your family? Because I am very close with them, but I didn't want to be a burden. At
Yeah.
the time, they thought I was the happiest that I'd ever been. And I didn't want to let anyone down. I felt like I had no right to be upset. I felt like, all these wonderful things had happened, and who am I to be sad, because there's lots of other people in the world who like have worse things going
Yeah.
on. So I felt guilty about that. And then once I spoke to Samaritans, I remember they just it was all, they don't actually like, I think people think you're going to call them and they're going to say, right, step one, do this, step two.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's just a way to block out all of the noise and to just have somebody listen with no judgment. And you end up
It's a safe
answering.
space, isn't it?
It's
It's a safe space.
a
And this
huge
is one of the
safe space.
thing, especially when it comes to like mental health, I feel like one of the biggest things is that people just want to feel heard. Like you said, like you've got all this incredible stuff going on, but you're still feeling these very human emotions.
Yeah.
And it's like you're kind of being made to feel guilty. And it's like it's so surreal, because it's like, especially in this day and age where like everyone's like, promoting like be kind and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, am I allowed to say I'm not happy? Am I allowed to say I'm
Yeah.
scared? Like it's so, and I feel like that's what the Samaritans have done. They've created this space that's just like, there's no judgment. There's no like, we're not going to sit here and point fingers at you. Just talk, get it off your
Yeah.
chest.
And I remember, sleeping after that phone call, like having like an actual good sleep for like, I hadn't had a good sleep for the past 3 weeks. So I called them as soon as I woke up the next day. I called Samaritans again, and that sort of gave me the strength to then speak to my family and my friends.
Amazing.
And then I spoke to my GP. I got CBT therapy, which is like cognitive behavioral therapy, which
Yes.
massively helped me sort of like learn how to cope with things in my mind. But I just urge anyone who's feeling, Samaritans are there for that sort of like, people think they're just there for that last part of call where, everything's going really wrong. But I'd urge anyone, Samaritans are there for that. But also, as soon as you start to have a little worry, as soon as you start feeling lonely or you're worried about finances, don't let it build up and build up.
Yeah.
Samaritans are there straight away. No problem is too small. If it's a big enough problem that you're worried about it, then that's fine. Call them, and no judgment. No one's going to go, oh, you're just calling for that. No one's going to think that, because we would rather you call before it gets too big,
Yeah.
that it feels like you can't handle it. So, yeah, please. That's why I wanted to tell my story. And that's why I sort of like felt like now was the right time to talk about, because again, for so long, I felt like people would be like, well, what have you got to be sad about?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted people to see, because I still now sometimes on Instagram, I'll compare myself to people and I'll think, wow, they've just really got their shiz together. Like they're just so proactive and they look really good and they're making like healthy meals all the time. And there's some days still where, I'm happy that I've just got out of bed, brushed my teeth, put some fresh clothes on. And that's what I'm urging people to understand, that what you see on social media is not true. And that's why I try and give as true like events as I can. Like, so if I
Yeah.
am doing nothing that day, I'll go, hi guys, just so you know, I hope you have a lovely day. I'm doing nothing today. So
But it's
that's too
good.
boring
There's
to post.
Johnsy. There is something beautiful though about being bored. Like I feel like we don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore, because I mean we're constantly compared, like, oh God, look, that person's gone to the gym, that person's doing this. Like,
Yes.
I don't want to do that. But so why am I sitting here feeling bad? Like if I want to do nothing and sit and watch Schitt's Creek on Netflix, and then I will.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
Sometimes
gonna feel bad.
sometimes we just need a reset day. That's what we need. And
Yeah.
like a big thing for me as well is, if you are feeling one of those days where, because I found that I'm at my most happiest when I'm being a social butterfly and I'm surrounded by people. So what my brain does is, when I'm feeling sad, is it hits the self-destruct button and it goes, well, that's when you're at your happiest. Let's isolate you and make you
Yeah.
super lonely and make you not want to speak to anyone. And now I literally, when I'm feeling like that, I force myself to call people, and I'll go for a walk, or I'll read a book, and I'll do anything but sit on social media. And honestly, it gets easier. It's actually an easier thing, but the hardest thing to just sit and scroll on social media and compare
Yeah.
your life. But you end up making
It's the
yourself
thief of
feel
joy.
worse.
Comparison is the
Yes,
thief of joy.
it really is. So just don't do it. Just please, just
Put your
read a
phone
book
down.
or go for a walk or yeah.
Well, I
It's
was going to
hard, I
ask you
know,
this.
but
I was going to ask, like, obviously, we've been in this really weird situation now for well over a year with isolation
yeah.
and, the virus and all that kind of stuff. Like, what are your coping mechanisms? Like, what's helped you get through this, like, complete shower of shiz, as you said earlier?
A massive one. And it's something that I never thought would help because I am the type of person that would get an Uber round the corner. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm not a
very
walker.
familiar.
I'm not I don't like I thought I didn't like walking, but taking my dog for a walk, even in the rain, which sound honestly, people that know us will be like, they're always like, you've changed. Because there's something about just getting outside and going for a walk. It just blocks out the noise. It's a chance to not
Yeah.
think, which I think sometimes we need, like you said, allow yourself to not be thinking all the time. Like, and sometimes if anyone's seen us in my village, I do talk to my dog. I'll be like, oh, that's a nice tree, isn't it, Bonnie? I mean, she's not answering back, but it does just make me feel so much better. And sometimes if I am feeling, a little bit down that day, I'll go, right, we'll do a 10-minute walk. And honestly, before you know it, I've done my 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
It hasn't just been a 10-minute walk.
So
And
therapeutic, though.
it's so therapeutic. And Samaritans are actually doing a Samaritan in
Yes.
July, where you can walk, run, jog, um, a full marathon. I think it's like 26.2 miles, but you don't have to do it in one go. I won't be doing it in one
I was
go.
going to say, like, I've signed up for this, and the fact that when you just said, "Oh, you do it all in one go," my heart just dropped. So
No, I'm doing it gradually over July. But it's a really great way to, raise money for Samaritans because obviously due to COVID, a lot of the funding has stopped because there hasn't
yep.
been as many events. But as well, it's just a nice way to help your own mental health by getting outside.
It is, and it's going to be throughout July where the restrictions will hopefully no longer be with us. So it's a chance to kind of see your friends again, see your family again, raise some money for an
Yeah.
incredible cause. But the impact getting out into like nature, out into I'm not saying out into the wild, but considering we've been caged for
Let's be
a year,
feral. Let's be
yes,
feral. Let's go
go back to our
wild.
feral roots. It's a chance to really do something for an incredible cause, but also do something incredible for yourself, like getting some fresh air, socializing, and because we're not this whole situation isn't natural. The
No.
emotions that have kind of kicked off on the side of that, they're natural. You have every right to feel scared, anxious, whatever you might be feeling. They're all human emotions. But now's the chance to get out there. And obviously, if you want to join the team, you're more than welcome, Scarlett. I can't remember what my team's called. I think it's called the Wafflers or something, but you're
Is
more than
it?
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be a waffler.
See, I'm taking this very seriously. I'm going to start training. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
See, yeah, I think yeah, me and my boyfriend do a lot of walking. I've got wellies. I've moved to a farm now.
Oh, very
So,
nice.
yeah, so I'm like,
With
oh,
animals.
yeah. Well, I want to get a couple of rescue donkeys. That's what I'd like to get
Nice.
because there's a lot of sad looking donkeys around my way. I want to help them out. I want to help them out. But then Scott said I'll end up. He said when it rains, you'll not just be happy with them being in like a little stable. He said you'll want them in the
A
house.
house.
Like, yeah, but if they're only little donkeys, they could come in the kitchen.
But you see this, don't you? Like all those kind of stories of those people who bought those micro pigs. They're like showing them off on Instagram, and then like a week later, they're not so micro
Actual
anymore.
pigs. Yeah. Remember that? That was like a huge phase where everyone got a micro
To the
pig.
pig, yeah.
Yeah, luckily I didn't catch on to that trend.
To be fair, though, I felt like if it happened in lockdown, I probably would have been one of those people to buy a pig. I'm very lucky that my sister was like practically begging to get like a dog, because obviously I work from home now. She was like, yeah, but I work in a school, so now you can look after the dog, you can train. I was like,
Oh.
no, Gemma, no.
I
So, you want a dog, you
bet
get the
you
dog, you look after it.
I bet the dog's your best friend now.
Oh no, I resisted. It's the one time I've actually like stuck to my
Oh,
guns with my
really?
sister. Yeah, everything else, like, yeah, of course you can do this, 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 and this. Because it's just us at home. So
Oh,
it's, yeah, she's,
dogs are
I
the
love Amber.
boy, honestly. I don't know what I'd have done without my little dog. She's my bestie. Like I say, I have lots of conversations with her.
I feel like it's free therapy. It's the same as
Yeah, it
podcasts for
is.
me. It saves me so much money. It's great.
Oh,
I there was something that I wanted to ask you about and kind of get your advice on, because I've had this feeling before, but I've never kind of heard it said out loud before. And you actually said it in one of your videos recently about kind of playing this character of being like, happy all the time, like bubbly, like you kind of like portraying a character. Like obviously I don't kind of understand it on the level that you're at, but like in the French group, I'm always that one who's like, oh, it's all right, yeah, he's always laughing, he's always joking, but then it's kind of like a bit of a mask, isn't it?
yeah. I
Like,
always say, I think like the people who seem the happiest are sometimes the saddest because they know what it's like to feel sad and they don't want anybody else to. And I
yeah,
think because we have been in that place before, we take it upon ourselves to lift everybody else's spirits. And the one thing I would say, I keep hearing this thing over and over again where it's like, you've got to fill your cup up in order to help other people. You've got to
yeah,
make sure that you're, and I actually sort of disagree because when I've been at my lowest and I have helped friends who also have been low,
yeah,
it does help. And you I always say it's a bit like, when you go to a restaurant, you have a massive meal, but then you've always got that little stomach that's free for a dessert.
oh yeah, always.
I feel like you have always got that little extra part that can help others. Even if you're feeling too full of emotions yourself, you've always
I
got a
love
little
that.
bit left. You've always got a little bit left. But we do need to be a bit more selfish, I think. I think there's something quite wonderful in us all talking about this and breaking stigma of mental health and allowing ourselves to be selfish. I think you're like me, Taylor, and you sometimes feel guilty about being selfish and putting your own needs first, but we have to sometimes, and our friends and
Yes,
family still love us for it. No one
true.
judges. I think in our own heads, again, I'm using all these metaphors today, but it's the same as
Oh,
when
you're
you
on
go to
fire
which
with
and
these.
I don't know what I mean. I think it's because I've had Weetabix. I think it's when you go to the gym and you just assume everyone's staring at you. You're
Yeah,
like no one is because everyone's looking at themselves. No one
it's
actually
true.
cares as much as we think, which sounds awful, but it's true. Like
For sure, I
we
can't
just
see when I go to gym because literally, like the sweat is burning my eyes. I've never known pain like it.
no, but
It's
honestly,
like I couldn't if I wanted to.
no one cares though, do they? I think in our
No,
heads we build it up, but honestly, no one cares that you're putting yourself first. Like people just want you to be happy. Your friends and family genuinely care for your well-being. The
yeah,
sooner that you realize that, the better. It's took me a long time. It's took me a lot of years to realize that, but I'm definitely not playing as much of a part now because when I'm happy, I'm genuinely happy. And if I'm having an off day, I'll say to my friends, not feeling great today.
yeah.
And then I don't have to perform and no one's judging.
But what I love about that, and again, like I know, obviously, same because we're best friends now, so I do relate, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you saw that in me.
Yeah.
But like having that conversation and saying, like, look, I'm not quite feeling it today. Not only are you being honest about how you're feeling, you're giving that person that you're telling the confidence to be like, oh, okay, well, if they're not feeling it, I've got the confidence now to say I'm not feeling it. And it's kind of like the ripple effect that how being honest and looking after yourself can actually have. And
Yeah, of course.
that's
I mean,
so important.
it's so important. It's like mental health effectively is having a bit of a little bit of a broken brain. And if you broke your arm, you would never feel guilty about going, guys, probably
Yeah.
can't play tennis with you today because I've got a broken arm. It's exactly the same if you're having an off day, just honestly, just it's the bravest thing. Like, I'm so proud of you already, you, Taylor, and anybody listening that has openly ever said, I'm not feeling great, because it's such a brave thing to do. You know, you
Yeah.
stress about it all
You
day.
give me
And
goosebumps.
as soon as you say it, you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't that hard. But it's so brave. I wish I could just give everyone a hug and say, I promise you there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because honestly, if you could have been in my bedroom that day when I ran Samaritans and seen how low I was, and my eyes all like glazed off from crying constantly. I don't
Yeah.
even think I had any water left in my tear ducts. To where I am now, being an ambassador for Samaritans and coming full circle, I promise you, if I can do it, then you 100% can.
And this is exactly why you are the perfect person to have a waffle with, because it is
Oh,
opening up, having a chat or a waffle, whatever it might be. The impact it can have is insane. It's changed my life quite clearly. Opened up and speaking to the Samaritans has, turned yours around. And yeah, so I can't stress how important this whole kind of opening up, talking about reaching out to the Samaritans, supporting them, because obviously the work they're doing is insanely good.
oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I would urge anybody, if you have used Samaritans before or you know someone who has, even if you just don't have a takeaway one week and donate that money, and it helps, the 24/7, the lines are
Yeah.
running and the emails running, and they are saving lives.
Scarlett, honestly, I've just had the thing pop up to say, like, your meeting will end in 10 minutes because I'm too tight to pay for the full version. But honestly, there's so many much more. We could sit here and talk for hours about some.
We'll
I
have to
mean,
have a waffle again.
I would
We'll
love
have
to,
to have a
because
waffle
I
again.
still need to have a chat to you about your podcast, because it is literally one of the things that's kept me going through lockdown.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I've got a bit of a suggestion. Obviously,
Oh,
you're out there
okay.
trying to find the truth, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Can you try and find out what happened to the bedding fields?
Oh, yes.
Please.
Okay.
That's my only
Okay.
thing.
Okay
Because I
then.
love the bedding fields, and
Yeah.
I just want what's best for them. I just don't know where they've gone.
I will put that on the list. I will put that on the
Thank you.
list. Thank you, Taylor. I've thoroughly enjoyed this waffle.
You're an absolute legend now, and you are welcome back anytime.
That you'll regret saying that. I'll be there. I'll be like the postman. I'll be knocking. Even when you've got your headphones in, I'll be knocking. Taylor.
This is me again. It's like I'm on the
See?
phone. It's on the phone.